after threatening to remove Congress's special health care. On Saturday, President Donald Trump threatened to end bailouts for members of Congress and insurance companies if lawmakers don't pass a new health care bill in the near future. If a new health care bill is not approved quickly, bailouts for insurance companies and bailouts for members of Congress will end very soon, Trump wrote, sparking both applause and outrage. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy argued that Trump's warning was a clear threat to strip health care away from members of Congress. "This is a clear threat to Congress, pass a health bill or as punishment, I will end health care for you, your staff, and your constituents," he tweeted. He went on to argue that the president does have the power to cut off health care for leg branch employees and crater exchanges. "I would argue this is a very serious moment," Murphy continued. President making personal threats to us and our constituents if we don't pass his bill. Fox News reporter Ed Henry defended Trump, saying the weekend that Trump's supporters like this type of commentary is because he is not afraid to point out the hypocrisy of lawmakers. "What they were saying is, we want a little special carve-out," Henry said. Now, will the president be able to do away with that? Who knows? Maybe it's just rhetoric. But he is pointing out that these lawmakers, who didn't have the courage of their convictions. He's saying, maybe I am going to expose your special. Watch Chuck Schumer boldly attacking Barron Trump. He's going too far. Liberal extremist and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer issued a threat against the safety of 11-year-old Barron Trump. In an interview earlier this year, Schumer called on the NIPT and the federal government to stop providing a security detail for Barron while he was attending school in New York City. Mayor Bill DeBlasio ought to tell the Congress if we don't pay for it, New York City cops aren't guarding it, and let the feds put more people in. That's what I think he should do, Schumer told BuzzFeed. Schumer seems to think that putting a child's well-being in jeopardy is justified because Trump is a huge disappointment to most Americans. What do you think? Should he be forced to step? After learning Congress is excluded from Obamacare, Mike Pence sends the ultimate threat. Vice President Mike Pence has had enough of Obamacare. Now he's threatening to take away Congress' special health care to give them all a first-hand account of what the Affordable Care Act is really like. On Wednesday, in an interview with Fox News' Tucker Carlson, Pence was asked about how Congress is exempt from Obamacare. Why should members of Congress and their staffs have a better deal, not subject to the same rules as everybody else? Carlson asked. That's pretty typical of Washington, isn't it? Pence responded. You, more often than not, see one set of rules for the American people and another set of rules for the political class here in our nation's capital, but as we move forward, the point is that whether the president makes a decision, it would be his decision whether to rescind that special treatment for members of Congress and their staff. What we want is a healthcare system that works for all of the American people, he continued, before explaining that one element of healthcare reform needs to be cheaper coverage. I think the primary goal first is to give people freedom over their own healthcare choices again. This is not the first time Pence has called on Congress to step up and do their job. In a recent interview, he assured the American people that the Trump administration intends to keep its promise to repeal and replace Obamacare. Breaking prohibited in public schools, Supreme Court voted. Thanks to Trump. When then-candidate Donald Trump spoke at rallies and discussed the importance of electing a conservative Supreme Court justice could be nominated, the left was oblivious to how important that single issue was. Conservatives recognized that America was at risk if Democrats kept the power. Recently, the full panel of 9 justices came together for the first time to decide the fate of Islam being taught within our public school system. The decision shows just how close we came to disaster. The 5-4 ruling ultimately decided that Sharia law or any ideology that contradicts basic human rights will not be taught in America's public schools. This shows just how important the election of President Trump was and his decision to appoint Judge Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. The government certainly has no business being involved in religion, But this isn't a government issue or a religious issue, Gorsuch said in a statement. This is about the judicial branch interpreting the laws as they apply to the teaching of religion. We should be teaching any religions in this country besides standard Judeo-Christianity, as our founders wanted, and we certainly shouldn't be filling the children with lies about Islam being a religion of peace when they see the carnage on the news almost every day. Gorsuch cast the tie-breaking vote that decided that only the true historical account of Islamic history would be taught in the class. IT's over NYC Mayor DeBlasio faces criminal charges, and does something sickening as a revenge. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio has made some enemies in his career, especially among those who support law enforcement. Now, he's facing criminal charges that could end his controversial career once and for all. 2 separate grand juries have heard information relating to criminal investigations into the mayor's involvement in pay-to-play schemes and illegal fundraising. According to the New York Times, de Blasio is accused of using these illegal fundraising efforts while campaigning, leaving New York City taxpayers to pick up the tab. De Blasio and his senior aides are accused of taking hundreds of thousands of dollars and passing them through upstate New York county committees before distributing them to Democratic candidates. This was a failed effort to take the state's Senate out of Republican hands in 2014. Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr. is believed to be heading the investigation, while Manhattan U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara is heading up the federal investigation, which is also looking into claims that de Blasio took contributions in exchange for political favors. Our mayor is ethically challenged, his opponent Nicole Maliotakis said outside of City Hall. He has shown a complete disregard for the taxpayers today by now saying he's going to use taxpayer money to pay for his legal fees. It's estimated that at least $11 million has been spent lawyers in various corruption probes related to de Blasio. Do you think he is guilty? I ain't serving no police. Black cop hating worker outright refuses to serve police, severe justice ensued. It's amazing how little respect liberals have for authority, particularly the police officers who put their lives on the line to keep our communities safe. Recently, the wife of a police officer shared the story of what happened to her husband at a McDonald's location in Virginia, and it's the prime example of just how big this problem has gotten. My husband just got home from working a 13-hour day to share a story with me that has left me completely shocked, Kathy Bishop Neff wrote on her Facebook page. Around 7 o'clock tonight he took a small break and went to the drive-thru at the McDonald's at Parham Road and Route 1. He was in uniform and his police vehicle. He paid for his food and drove forward to the next window. The young man who was working that window looked at him and backed away from the window, mouthing something to my husband. My husband couldn't hear him since the window was closed, she continued. The guy finally walked to the window and slid it open. My husband told him that he couldn't hear him and the guy said I ain't serving no police and closed the window. The guy proceeded to tell everyone in McDonald's, including the manager, that he was not going to serve the police. The employees stared at my husband trying to figure out what they should do. After all, he had paid for his food but no one wanted to give it to him. Finally, one guy brought it over to him without a single word. As my husband pulled around the building, a gentleman who was in the McDonald's at the time approached his car and told my husband how he had never seen anything like this, she added. He said the guy had told the manager that she could fire him but he wasn't going to serve the police. The manager did nothing to help the situation and wasn't even the person who brought him his food. It's amazing that people can act this way, but even more shocking that the manager allowed him to continue on with his antics. I know that we will never visit this McDonald's again. This is such an eye-opener for me as to what the people who protect us have to go through on a daily basis. Please pray for the men and women who serve and protect us and put their lives on the line for us each and every day. Later, Kathy shared more of her story. Update. Immediately after this happened, my husband emailed a complaint to corporate. Late last night he received a standard email back thanking him for his concern. We called the franchise owner yesterday who said they were going to look into this. They called us back 5 hours later and said they had let the young man go. What do you think? Are you glad the employee got fired? Pathetic Trump must take care of Obama's unpaid bills. Even though Barack Obama left the White House more than 6 months ago, President Trump is being forced to pick up his tab. One of the worst parts of Obamacare is insurance companies pulling out of the program because they're losing billions. Now, some of those companies are saying the federal government still owes millions in payments to a program designed to stabilize the Affordable Care Act. Health insurers have reportedly filed nearly 24 lawsuits, raising the prospect that the Trump administration will have to bankroll a program the GOP has pilloried as an insurer bailout, political rights. Insurers are owed more than $8 billion in payments, a tab that is only expected to grow. The Obama administration repeatedly assured us it was there and it would be a clear obligation of the government, said Tom Felicelli, CEO of Minuteman Health, which is among the insurers suing the government over the shortfall. Even the federal government is subject to the rules. Meanwhile, President Trump has threatened to pull billions in funding from a separate Affordable Care Act subsidy program that he's labeled as a bailout for insurers. What do you think about all of